Kansas State and Tulane. This one actually has potential, I would say, to be one of the more exciting games of the weekend and one of the more underrated games on the schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Yet to here, basically year to date in this. So 11 a.m. Central, Kansas State at Tulane. So this is going to be like Ole Miss a couple years ago when they went to Tulane. Kansas State, though, breaking in a new quarterback in a place that's feeling really good about their program, even after the loss of Willie Fritz. They break John Summerall in, who's a great head coach as well. Identity might change a little bit, but Tulane still has playmakers all over the place. Let's start with Reese. Do you have anything on Kansas State and Tulane? What are your thoughts on this one? And is Kansas State legit? Or are we about to find out?
I think it's similar to, when they brought in Troy last year, I believe it was. It's, if you're bringing in a good program, not just bringing any slap G5 teams. They're going to be challenged. And this Kansas State team, it's also, this is the real test. We're going to see what Avery Johnson's like, and that backfield is going to be like. You brought in Dylan Edwards, and Giddens is there again this year. So is that backfield going to be pretty solid? Because we know everybody's high on Avery Johnson, but this is kind of going to be his first test to see what it's like. I like him in this spot, especially you're getting him, even if it is on the road. I just think there's a lot of hype around this K-State team for a good reason. You're going in, you just mentioned their coach from Tulane, great guy. I think they're going to be just fine this year, but I think K-State early in the year is going to be a bit of a challenge for them, but it'll be a good test for them to see what their program is going to be like. But I think I lean K-State in this spot.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, really good coaching hire out of Tulane after losing Willie Fritz. Jake, you, again, Big 12 game. I mean, let's talk about Kansas State, a team a lot of people have picked to win the Big 12. And let's talk about Tulane, a team that I said is going to be better than expected and actually picked to get to the American Conference title game. What are your thoughts on these two teams and how they match up? I feel like this is more with the hire of Summerall. It's going to be the same style. I mean, just button heads here.
Butting heads, but honestly, you probably give the receiver edge to Tulane because of Mario Williams and how good he can be. Had over 150 yards last week. If you're unfamiliar with who that is, the USC transfer, he's going to be really good. He's the best receiver on the field. Big 12 wise, there's a lot of big games for the conference this weekend, but this could be the most important just for identity and the way that everybody perceives the Big 12, because you're basically co-favorite to win the conference. Can't go on the road to a G5 and slip up. It just can't. It can't happen. There's a couple of P4 matchups in the conference that they're playing in another conference that might be okay. But if you're Kansas State and you're the Big 12, this can't happen if you want any sort of chance for an at-large bid in the 12-team playoff down the road. I love the running back matchup in this spot, though. Mekhi Hughes for Tulane, also a stud, rushed for over 100 yards last week, and everybody knows about DJ Giddens. I think DJ Giddens versus John Summerall defense, surprisingly, will have a good day. I think he's just bigger. I think he's stronger, and I think he's going to match up well against that defense.
Yeah, I think the defense is going to be better for Tulane when you look at it. How about the quarterback, though? Parks, let's talk about the quarterback matchup. This is a big one here, too.
I'll be interested to see what Tulane does at the quarterback position because you got a lot of Darian Mensah last week. But I wonder if you're going to get some Ty Thompson packages in here to, again, expose that run game with Mekhi Hughes. I think that's where Tulane can take advantage against this K-State front. It's going to be tough because they're not bad by any means. There's a reason they're picked towards the top of the conference. But it is definitely worth a discussion that Ty Thompson could see valuable playing time within this matchup. And it's a Tulane place that kind of slipped away against Ole Miss last year. They had another Power 4 opponent come in, and they lost that one in the closing minutes of that game. So you got another opportunity here to make some noise against a really good team and start to create your argument for your college football playoff group of 5 bid. And it's a very important week for the Green Wave.
Yeah, Avery Johnson, I mean, this isn't the easiest road game to start your career, but I definitely don't think it's also the most daunting. I think you just need to be ready to go. It's right in the middle where you're going to
not going to Utah.
He did he started in Lubbock last year. This is not his first road game.
No, but this is
he's got that for him.
The first one
in JP's defense. In JP's defense, an Abilene Christian quarterback threw for 500 yards in Lubbock last week. So is that as daunting as we think?
I'm just going off of but the hype wasn't there for him. They knew he wasn't going to be the starter. He might start a couple here and there, but this is you're the guy. You can't lose these kind of football games. You're now going to Tulane. That's no pushover, right? I mean, you could be Texas. I don't
want to play Tulane
playing at Michigan in week 2, or Nico playing an NC State team. I know that's a neutral site. We won't get to that later, but when you look at Tulane, we talked about the running backs, and I think that is just paramount here. Find a way to be a Kleiman team that's always good defensively and solid in the front seven. If you can do that, you can open things on the outside. Maybe it's not vertical passing threats, but it's sideline to sideline. They ran for over 240 last week. I understand Southern or Southeastern Louisiana is not a good football team, and it's an FCS situation. But if we can get to 150, 160, you're going to feel really good about yourself if you're Tulane. Also, the one thing I would say is like the Ty Thompson, like only threw 4 balls last week. I think they're pretty comfortable with what they're rolling with right now. And I wouldn't be shocked to see some packages for him and find some ways to get him in and involved. But if you're feeling good about yourself and you look good last week, I'm not sure much changes there. So let's start on predictions here. I believe, is this line at 5? I thought it was up at about 8.
I thought it was 9, 8 or 9. I was going to ask that.
It's all
Yeah,
over the place.
I looked
That's
at
why I'm
FanDuel today.
curious.
It's at 9.5.
8.5 is what I have live right now. This is
Perfect.
via ESPN Bet.
All the way
This
down.
would have come in 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
This is when these were made. So
Yeah, let's rock
apologies on
with
that.
Let's rock at 8.5. We get a hook there on a dirty number at 8.5 that nobody really wants if you are taking the team minus 8.5. But
Yep.
Bruce, we're going to start with you. Kansas State at Tulane. Again, like 2 really good looking uniforms, 2 great programs, 2 really good coaches. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, it kind of reminds you of like Ole Miss going in there, and I think they're going to put up a pretty solid fight. I think Tulane will be good, but I just think K-State, with everything got going for them, they're just going to have a lot behind them. Go in there and they handle the business. Give me K-State 28-17.
That's a good one.
Parks, up to you for this one.
Yeah, so when I took a look at the score, I was trying to think of the run game, which you guys already hit on a ton, but the Giddens and Johnson read option and RPO combo could be the death of Tulane this week. And I think that's what they're going to do 90% of the time. And it's just going to be too much. I don't think it's a big enough atmosphere. It would have helped if it was 5 years ago in the Superdome, if you filled that place up. But give me K-State. I think there's too much firepower on the offensive side of the ball, too much experience within that system. And Johnson got valuable reps last year. So give me K-State in this one, 28-14.
Jake, you feel pretty confident with Kansas State as you were kind of talking. Is that changing with your pick?
It is changing. These are crappy. We're getting some bad lines this week after
I'm
tough
happy with
line, man.
some
It's a
numbers
tough
that
line.
force
You
people
feel way
to make
better
some
at
plays. We had a
5.
lot of 3s and 2.5s last week.
Yeah.
Hey,
Vegas they're figuring it out a little bit already early. I'm gonna go Tulane. I think Tulane loses still, but they cover the number. I think they really like the
Thanks,
Mensah kid. I mean, we might see Ty Thompson. I just don't know how much, but maybe if Kansas State gets after him defensively early, we're gonna see Thompson early just because of how much dual threat he can add, and they try to mix it up a little bit. But I'm a little concerned with how good Kansas State's defense can be against Tulane.
that's fair. That's fair. I mean, it's completely fair. You don't have to do anything though, Parks, because I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take plus 8.5. I think Tulane stays in this one. The new way they're playing football, I think they are better defensively than what people give them credit for now. There's now a defensive mind into that room at the head coaching position. I think it just stays close. I'm not saying this team is going to, real threaten late, but I think they stay within a score most of the game, and it's just tougher for Kansas State to pull away. Maybe they get up 14 and it's just a late touchdown by Tulane to kind of make it closer. It just stays within 10. So if it's going to stay within 10, it's staying within 10.5. So I'm going to go with Tulane there as well. So 2-2 split. I believe that's one of the first ones. First one of the episode. The last one was a clean sweep.
Yep.
First 2-2. We had a couple last week. That did not work out for me. I'm hoping to be on the other side of that on the ATS board this week.